grow with a to have a good spiritual life when they grow. All right, so I need to take a look at Proverbs 22, verse 6. And do I have any volunteers to read that for me? Proverbs 22, verse 6. All right, Vanessa.
Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
All right, so this verse pretty much tells you that if you train your child and you direct them in the way that they're supposed to go, then they'll have a spiritual life, a good spiritual life. So the question is, what is the correct way to start off your children? And what do children need from their parents in order to grow closer to God? Next slide. Next slide. All right, so a child has 7 great needs. All right, so I'm only going to go through 5 with you guys. No, 4 actually. The first one is a child needs parents who love God. A child needs parents who love each other. A child needs parents who pray. A child needs to be raised in a church. A child needs a good name. A child needs a vision. And a child needs to be loved. Right now I'm always going to go over the first 4 with you guys. Alright, so I need somebody to read Proverbs 17 verse 6 for me. Anyway? Alright, so as children, your parents are really the only thing you can call your own, right? So, for example, when you're a kid, your parents' house is your house. Your parents' car, in a sense, is your car. Your parents' food, the food that they buy, is your food. So everything that your parents have is yours. So that places a lot of stress on what a parent needs to do to make sure that their children has what they need to grow closer to God. And it's obvious that your parents are your providers, so everything that they have is passed on to you. These godly parents tend to pass down their love for God into their children. And a child needs parents that love each other. And for parents to love each other, you have to set example to your children that no matter what happens, you will still be able to go through your problems and make peace with each other. So for having parents that love each other, you're teaching your kids that no matter what happens, what problems may come, you could go over it and solve those problems so that your children would pretty much, I don't know how to say it. They'll pick it up, because they look up to you as an example. So what you do, your children would do. So if you love each other as parents, your children would love their neighbors. A child needs parents who pray. And could I have somebody read 1 Samuel chapter 1 from 10 to 17 for me? First Samuel chapter 1, verse 10 to 17. Anybody?
Donc, 1 Samuel chapter 1.
Yeah. Verse 1 through 10 to 17.
First Samuel chapter 1, ouais.
1 verse 10 to 17.
Et l'amertume dans l'âme, elle pria l'Éternel et versa des pleurs. Elle fit un vœu en disant, Éternel des armées, si tu daignes regarder l'affliction de ta servante, si tu te souviens de moi et n'oublie point ta servante, et si tu te donnes à ta servante un enfant mâle, je le consacrerai à l'Éternel pour tous les jours de sa vie, et le rasoir ne passera point sur sa tête. Comme elle restait longtemps en prière devant l'Éternel, et lui observa sa bouche, Anne parlait dans son cœur et ne faisait que remuer les lèvres, mais on n'entendait point sa voix. Élie pensa qu'elle était ivre, et il lui dit, jusqu'à quand seras-tu dans l'ivresse? Fais passer ton vin. Anne répondit, non, mon Seigneur, je suis une femme qui souffre en son cœur, et je ne bus ni vin, ni boisson enivrante, mais je répandais mon âme devant l'Éternel. Verset 16. Ne prends pas ta servante pour une femme pervertie, car c'est l'excès de ma douleur et de mon chagrin qui m'a fait parler jusqu'à présent. Le verset 17, et pour finir, Élie reprend la parole et dit, va en paix, et que le Dieu d'Israël exauce la prière que tu lui as adressée. Félicitations.
What verse did you read to? 17. Could you read up to 19? Actually, could you read up to 20? Go again. Up to 20.
Up to 20? Ok. Le verset 18. Elle dit que ta servante trouve grâce à tes yeux. Et cette femme s'en alla, elle mangea et son visage ne fait plus le même. Elle se levait de bon matin et après s'être prosternée devant l'Éternel, ils s'en retournèrent et revinrent dans leur maison à Rama. Elkana connut Anne sa femme et l'Éternel se souvint d'elle. Verset 20. Dans le cours de l'année, Anne devint enceinte et elle enfanta un fils qu'elle nomma Samuel. Car dit-elle, je le demandais à l'Éternel.
All right, and so Vanessa, could you read 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 10 to 23 in English? First Samuel chapter 1, verse 10 to 20. All right, so verse
Samuel chapter 1, verse 10 to
10 to 20.
And she was in bitterness of the soul, and prayed to the Lord and wept in anguish. Then she made a vow and said, O Lord of hosts, if you will indeed look at the afflictions of your maidservant and remember them, and not forget your maidservant, but will give your maidservant a male child, then I will give him to the Lord all the days of his life, and no razor shall come upon his head. And it happened, as she continued, she prayed before the Lord, that Eli watched her mouth. How Hannah spoke in her heart, only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she was drunk. So Eli said to her, how long will you be drunk? Put your wine away from you. But Hannah answered and said, no, my Lord, I am a woman of sorrowful spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor intoxicating drinks, but have poured out my soul before the Lord. Do not consider your maidservant a wicked woman, for out of the abundance of my complaint and grief I have spoken until now. Then Eli answered and said, go in peace, and the God of Israel grant your petition which you have asked of him. And she said, let your maidservant find favor in your sight. So the woman went her way and ate, and her face was no longer sad. Then they rose early in the morning and worshipped before the Lord. and returned into their house at Ramah and Elkanah. Knew Hannah his wife, and the Lord remembered her. So it came to pass in the process of time that Hannah conceived and bore a son, and called his name Samuel, saying, because I have asked for him from the Lord.
Alright, so this story is pretty much about a lady who wanted a son, and she prayed to God to deliver a son to her. And she was so deep into prayer that her own husband thought that she was drunk with how deep she was into prayer. She was praying so badly that her husband thought that she was drunk.
Histoire sa de yon fi ki te telman ambigan pi te maril te pense ke li te sou.
With how deep she was in prayer, because she was asking for a baby.
Si telman li te fon nan la priye, maril te pense ke li te sou, li te fon.
Yeah. And at the end of the story,
Nan finisman histoire,
this lady, she was delivered a baby, and she gave thanks to God.
fi a fe yon pitit epi li bal tout kwa bon Dieu.
And the third necessity that I'm going to talk about is that a child needs parents who pray.
Troisième nécessité ke m'a pale, ti moun bezwen yon paran ki kon priye.
So we can see in this story that God's blessings come through prayers. So it is important for parents to pray for their children so that they can be blessed by God.
Nou ka wè nan histoire, ti moun bezwen yon paran ki kon priye.
Not to fall into the wrong crowd like so many children do.
Pou yon pa tombe nan tentasyon kom lot ti moun.
Parents that pray
Paran ki priye,
emphasize the importance of prayer in a Christian's life,
montre importance de priye nan la vi yon kretien.
as it shows that when you ask God with something with your whole heart,
Li montre struggles lo mande bon Dieu yon bagay tout kèw,
He will deliver for you.
la pote l ba la ba ou.
And as a child,
Kon yon ti moun,
seeing your parents that pray to ask for good things for you, like for you to go to school, for you to get an education, for you
Right.
not to get sick.
voyen paran pou l priye pou l mande nesesel pou l pase l'ekol, pou gen bon sante, pou pa
And when-
malade.
And when these children grow up and they see that those prayers have been answered, they'll
Yep.
see how important prayer really is.
E la ti moun yo grandi, ya pou importance priye.
For example, my own mother,
Par exemple, maman,
I've noticed that she prays a lot for me and the rest of her kids.
mwen wè ke li priye pou mwen avèk tout frèz ak semyon.
She prays so that we will be safe when we go to school.
Li priye pou nou gen,
She prays so that we'll keep our faith strong in the Lord.
li priye pou sekurite lè nan l'ekol, li priye pou nou gen la fwa nan l'Eternel.
She prays that we'll be protected.
Li priye pou proteksyon.
And now that I'm an adult,
Konye mwen ador, mwen gwo moun.
I see that those prayers
Mwen wè priye yo.
that she prayed for me and the rest of her kids
Priye ke l priye pou mwen avèk tout frèz, avèk lot ti moun yo.
have been answered.
Yo repon.
So I know that when I pray
Konye m konye lèm priye.
and I really believe in what I'm saying,
Epi m kwa nan sa m ap diyan,
that God will answer me.
ke bon Dieu va repon priye mi pou mwen.
Or so the fourth necessity is that a child needs to be raised in a church.
Katrem nesesite se ti moun dwe leve nan yon l'eglis.
Parents pretty much need to raise their kids in some sort of Christian community. Parents need to raise their kids in some sort of Christian community.
Paran dwe leve ti moun yo nan yon kominote kretien,
Like a church, of
kon
course.
yon l'eglis.
And the reason for this is that it encourages their faith as they hear the miracles that others have experienced.
Rezon pou sa yo tande mirak ke lot experience.
So when somebody talks about something that God did for them,
So là yon lot pale de sa bon Dieu fait pour yo.
The child will know
Si moun nan konnen
that God works all around, not just in sections.
que bon Dieu travaille dans tout champ, pas juste dans section.
He doesn't just work for me, or it doesn't just work for you, he works for everybody.
Il pas juste travaille pour moi, il travaille pour tout le monde.
And experiencing what others say, they'll know that they're not alone in the faith.
Et dans l'expérience que ça l'autre dit, après qu'il n'y a pas pour continuer.
And that's all I have for you guys so far.
Et puis ça me dit pour nous. Amen.